Get to know Wilmington University online or in person at their open house on May 4th. Details and RSVP at wilmu.edu/open house. Hey, welcome to the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works. Danny Pommells and Ben Berry here with instant analysis after the Sixers' Game 1 loss to the Miami Heat, where it got kind of ugly there down the stretch. Kind of what you expected from the 76ers, trying to throw everything at Miami to see what sticks without Joel Embiid. But 1-point halftime lead turned into, what is it, a almost 14-point loss here for the 76ers. What did you see, Ben, and what caught your eye here as the Sixers are fighting out of a hole here, down 1-0?
Okay, so the Sixers, they're down 1-0. I want to start with the positive. Tobias Harris, he was aggressive. He put up 18 shots, finished with 27 points, and that is great. If you would have told me we were going to get that out of Tobias Harris, I would have thought the game was at least close. I know they were down by more than 20 at one point. I would have thought the game was close if the Sixers would have at least won. So I like that. He found his spots. He made quick, decisive moves, finished at the rack. So shout out to Tobias Harris, as Danny calls me, the president.
We started with Tobias love. That is unlike you.
President of the anti-Tobias Harris Club. Moving on, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about James Harden. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the young up-and-coming star, Tyrese Maxey. But I would say as a team, as a whole, it looked like coming out of halftime that the Heat were just deeper and had more energy. They made more plays, but the Sixers just looked sluggish and out of it at that point, like they were burnt out. And I don't want to blame it on playing an extra game against the Raptors, but the Heat definitely looked like they had more energy. They forced the Sixers to shoot way too many three-point shots when I think they shot below 20%, which isn't good, but I know the Heat have a arguably historic defense at the rack, at the rim. So just an all-around effort. The energy wasn't there. I think they could have did more. I'm sure we'll get more in depth on Harden and Maxey, but shout out to Tobias Harris. I want to say much of the rest of the team brought it, though.
Yeah, it was funny because, I thought the Sixers did a good job fighting off that initial push from the Miami Heat. Like they started, the Sixers started DeAndre Jordan, which I think put them in a hole, was part of the reason why they were fighting in a deficit there, because Bam Adebayo, I think he scored the first couple baskets, and it was on from there. But I thought they did a good job fighting off of that initial run by the Heat, which translated into them having a halftime lead. And listen, I don't think they're going to shoot as bad as they did from three. And really, you can't think either team is going to shoot that bad. The Sixers 6 of 34, the Heat 9 of 36. So that definitely will change in game 2. But Tobias Harris definitely put the team on his shoulders and came out playing as if he knew what was needed from him in order to overcome the loss of Joel Embiid. But the Heat didn't have Kyle Lowry, and they had a bunch of guys who were questionable coming in, but they all warmed up and played. So, it's funny because a little bit of the Fred VanVleet factor of him not playing allowed Miami to play interchangeable with some of their other players. But yeah, Gabe Vincent and Max Strus started in the backcourt for Miami, and they didn't really do anything, particularly with the bad three-point shooting. But I thought that the fact that Kyle Lowry was out gave them a little bit more interchangeability. But that being said, Tobias Harris definitely deserves some flowers, but they just didn't have enough firepower. And I think the DeAndre Jordan minutes were awful, just a waste of space. I would have liked to seen, someone else there, but it is what it is. You kind of take it on the chin here, focus on trying to get a split though in these first 2 games. I think that was the Sixers game plan coming in, and it has to continue to be their game plan. You got to win one of these games in order to have something coming into the games in Philly, and hopefully the return of Joel Embiid, because he's out for these first 2 games, and hopefully they'll see him in game 3 and have a 1-1 series, and that'll carry them, through the rest of the series.
I agree with you because if they come back to Philly Friday night in game 3 down 2-0, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're asking the Sixers to win what for the next 5 games.
Yeah.
And who we're hoping Embiid comes back Friday night. It's not a guarantee at that point. I feel like they have to steal one of these games in Miami. So, and again, we'll get to Harden and Maxey. They have to play better. Going back to DeAndre Jordan, I have a question for you because of how good the Heat's defense is. Over the season, they only allow 17 shots a game in the restricted area, but they allow teams to shoot, I think, 46% of their opponents shot from beyond the arc. Just here's an idea. Here's a question for you. Will you think about going small, even though I know they shot poorly from beyond the arc? Will you think about going small, maybe having Niang at the 5, Niang, Harris, Harden, Embiid, and either Danny Green or Matisse Thybulle to start game 2, just to spread it out more because you're not getting to the rack, even though I think they should go to the rack more. But the Heat's defense, because they're so interchangeable, they make it hard to get there.
Niang, I am not confident on. Obviously, he didn't shoot the ball well, so we'll get that out of the way. He was 0 for 7 from 3. He had a few balls that were halfway in and came out, but regardless, you just need more from him. And in a certain way, you kind of gotta have to play a perfect game in order to beat Miami at home in game 1 on their home floor without Joel Embiid. You kind of play near the perfect. I do like the idea of the small ball lineups. It looked like Niang was even limping a little bit out there, getting up and down the court toward the end. But I am anti any lineup that has DeAndre Jordan and Matisse Thybulle on the floor at the same time because neither of them are bringing anything offensively. And DeAndre is barely, if at all, bringing anything defensively as far as protecting the rim or making guys alter their shots or causing, intimidation anywhere in the paint. So he's, pretty much washed, but Doc Rivers is in love with him and just continues to put him out there in situations to try to give him a chance to show something. But I do like the idea of going small. And in essence, they're kind of going small when they have Paul Reed out there. Like, he's an undersized big man, and his motor and the intensity he brings isn't necessarily like a traditional center. He's, more or less, active as if he's a forward. His activity level is that of a forward. So, I can't figure that part out for them with the Doc Rivers thing, but I just feel like Bassey would be a better option than Millsap or DeAndre Jordan. So
I would agree with you there. I like B-Ball Paul. I know the Philadelphia is a fan of B-Ball Paul.
Bro, if you sneeze, he picks up a foul. If you cough too hard, it's a foul on Paul Reed.
So it just looks at times in that Raptor series and in game 1 that maybe the moment was too big. He just dropped some passes that were in his lap. And I don't know if it's nerves, this NBA playoff basketball, just at times.
Paul Reed?
Yeah, Paul Reed. So,
but you would even rather have him out there making mistakes than what DeAndre Jordan is giving you.
Oh, without a doubt. It's just, do you run the risk of just have him go out there and make mistakes, or do you go out there and just have bad output?
I don't even think he's making that many mistakes that are crucial to the outcome of the game. It's the fouls that's the issue. It's like he picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter. He had 3 by halftime. Then he had 5 at the end of the third. Like, it's like he commits fouls at an incredible clip, and you could probably pump fake him at breakfast and he would drop his Cheerios, bro. Like, the dudes, they pump fake him, and you could just telegraph it. You can see it coming, but he's going to fall for the pump fake. I think Jimmy Butler got him one time that got him into some foul trouble. And I think Bam Adebayo got him another time in the second half. It just, he's going to go for the shot block. He's a little too aggressive. And particularly, bro, in a time like this, when you need him to be better than he has been, a time like this where you need him to kind of ratchet up his play, he's still, as most young players are, stuck into what he does well, which is the aggression and trying to block shots and, beating you to loose balls and things like that. And a lot of that is great, but you got to kind of stay within yourself, keep your feet on the ground and not fall for some of those pump fakes, not fall for, some of those ticky-tack fouls and things like that. So that probably is the thing I was disappointed about the most. But I am game to do it again. I'm in with Paul Reed and anyone else not DeAndre Jordan or Paul Millsap so much that I would stomach Niang playing center if it meant that DeAndre Jordan wouldn't be out there.
I agree. I think just there until Embiid comes back, the spread them out might be their most useful tool because, and I just don't think either team is going to shoot as poorly as they did in game one. But the Sixers were, 6 of 34 from beyond the arc, 17%, and 43% overall. The Heat were 25% from beyond the arc, 44% overall. I would like to think the Sixers, they're not going to go that cold again.
I hope not, but I don't anticipate Miami doing that either. But I'm also looking at people like James Harden, who you need to take more shots. I think he took 9 shots in the first half. He had 3 in the third quarter, and then by the fourth quarter, the game was out of reach. So it's, yes, him getting people involved is very important to this team. Yes, him playmaking and distributing the basketball, and you've seen it out there in other places, like you need the old James Harden, not an old James Harden. You know what I'm saying? So
bars.
He just looks washed out there and not quite quick enough, a step slow. But even when he's determined that he's going to get a shot off or take it to the basket, we just need more of that. It's just not enough for him to take 12, 13 shots with Joel out and hope that the other guys pick up the slack. In a game like tonight, Tobias Harris picked up all the slack in game one, but yet Harden didn't quite do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even the fact that he was shooting and missing. He wasn't even shooting enough. Like he didn't even try hard enough to like put up enough shots or what have you. So I think that I was a little disappointed there because, you're looking at this guy Harden and how he fits now, what the future is with this team, and there's a chance he could get $200 million as a max player, but not from the Sixers. Like they in no way, shape, or form should they be giving him any money besides the player option he can opt into after the season. Like at this point, you want to have one more year of him and to show that you got something for the Ben Simmons trade, but you can't continue to hope that he's going to figure it out as he's aging. And there's going to be a little bit more that he has in the tank. So, with Embiid, I feel like he brings another dynamic that they don't have, and the veteran savvy. Without Embiid and him not stepping up, he's just another guy out there.
Yeah, it's something we talked about last week when the original Paul Hudrick was on the pod. Like James Harden, like I don't want to say he's old, but he's been in the league for a while. Like Kevin Durant, 14 years in the league, LeBron James, 18, 19 years in the league, and James Harden, all that time he was in Houston, he didn't do a lot of load management. If any, I would say he probably played the second amount of most games, if not the first, during that time in Houston. It's a question that I think the Sixers front office need to have is like maybe he's just getting old, long in the tooth. It's a struggle for him to blow by people or get by people. When he goes downhill to the rack, which at times it looked like it was happening tonight, he can make a play happen. But too often, and especially if he's going to sign a Supermax, it wasn't happening enough for him to receive another Supermax. As you said, and as we said in previous podcasts, as we said from the live pod at Urban Saloon before Game 3 against the Raptors, we want him to be more aggressive, to only take 4 shots in the second half, especially when Miami made that big run in the third quarter. It's to say it's unacceptable might sound harsh, but it's unacceptable coming from somebody from that big 1-2 punch, and the other guy from that 1-2 punch, Joel Embiid, didn't play. Like, we need James Harden. The Sixers need James Harden to score at least 25 points a game, and just an efficient 25. You can't have the 5 turnovers to win this series, even with Joel Embiid on the court. This 16 points, 13 shots isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because feel like this is the game like tailor-made for Harden, like an opportunity for him to kind of write his own story a little bit because Joel Embiid was out, because there was so much doubt, because they're the underdog so much. I thought, I told the crew on Sixers pregame live, like Matisse Thybulle was my X factor. He sucked, tonight. So it just was a moment where no one stepped up. Maxey 6 for 15, just not quite himself. And I don't know, man. It's times where I want Maxey to even hunt his own shot, or it was times he had PJ Tucker switched on to him, which people laud PJ Tucker for his defense, but I've seen plenty of dudes put him on skates. I've seen a ton of dudes put him in the blender, and that was in years where he was probably a little younger, a little bit more spry. So I want Maxey to kind of get, into his thing. And then, when he gets into the paint, he's going to draw guys, and that's the opportunities to hit the open shooters and kick it out. So where Harden can't do that, get by people in order to draw those extra defenders, it's more or less, somebody just on his hip the whole time he's going to the basket and then like begging for a foul call. But I've seen Maxey time and time again get by guys and then get to the rim, get fouled. And I think more like, James has the ball in his hand a lot, and he's creating the opportunities, and Maxey defers to these other players, which is definitely a role younger guys should often play. But without Joel Embiid and without Harden being aggressive, there has to be another aggressive guy on the floor besides Tobias Harris. You know what I'm saying? There has to be someone else out there who's making the defense keep it honest. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little disappointed Maxey didn't quite see that opportunity and see it as a way for him to, put up one of those Maxey type games that we've seen in the past when he's dropped like 39 or what have you. But not to say that 39 was the way for them to win. I think the way that they could have won this game is just be making more shots. I mean, 6 for 34 from 3 is putrid. But at the same time, they need more aggression from the guys who are going to be the scorers with Joel out. But this is what we expect, right, bro? Is this not what we expected? Did you see it going this way? The line was 7.5 in the game. They ended up losing by 14. They didn't have it like you said, in the third and fourth quarter. This is kind of what you expected.
I didn't expect them to shoot so poorly. I didn't expect that. No, for Maxey, 6 of 15, I thought he was still aggressive at times, and it was like end of the game, he got to the rim and the ball just didn't go in. Like, I would like to see him, and it's hard to say because some of those shots weren't falling in, but to turn it up a notch. And as I stated earlier, to see the Sixers spread it out more, but I don't want them to fall in love with just shooting threes. And maybe that's just a critique of the overall NBA, because definitely I grew up watching just guys take it to the rack, not every 6-footer like Karl Anthony Towns. And this is besides the point. Like, people say he's the best big man
he won a 3-point contest, so you got to give him that.
So, I mean, one, that's so disrespectful to Dirk Nowitzki. Two, it doesn't mean anything if you can't get down there in the block and do something. But just take it to the rim at times. Like, don't always just settle for jump shots, because if it's not falling, you're not helping your team, and you're letting the defense in this series, Miami Heat, just get off easy. They're like, oh, they're going to shoot jump shots and not attack the rim. So, Maxey, I will continue to attack the rim. Hopefully some of these shots fall in game 2 Wednesday night. We'll just see what happens.
But, yeah, your point is well taken, because I didn't see them like going at Tyler Hero on the other end or whoever he was guarding. I didn't see them taking advantage of a few of these, mismatches when they occurred. But that was part of the formula for them beating the Heat here in South Philly without Harden and Embiid, is they attacked Tyler Hero a lot. And I didn't see that at all, in this game. And he ends up without 25, I think. But it was disappointing. Did you feel like Doc's, moves and the adjustments he tried to make with Shake and Furkan Korkmaz, who we saw in this game, did you feel like he was, smooth or had the right answers at any point in the game?
I can't put too much or any of this on Doc. I think Doc was trying some things. but the Sixers just didn't shoot well. Like, did anyone shoot well on the team besides Tobias Harris?
Nah.
Yeah. So
about it.
No
so it's on the players, more players.
Yeah, it's on the players. Like as Shaq said the other night, like it's on the players. It's not on Doc. Doc's not out there playing. Coaches ain't out there. He would sit there and tell Pat Riley or Phil Jackson, we got this. I don't know. You can make it at what you want because Shaq be talking. But it's on the players. Like, shoot better. Don't settle for jump shots all the time.
Bro, this is going to be a quick series, as I imagine the other ones will. But we got games every other day this week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. We'll be back in South Philly on Friday. Here, game 2, just one day in between for them to kind of regroup and try something new. Okay, it wasn't on Doc Rivers this game. It was on the players. What adjustments do you think he might make going into game 2? Do you think he'll be starting DeAndre Jordan again? And, maybe, it's just weird saying it, but Paul Millsap maybe getting the start, or he'll be the backup to Paul Reed. How do you see that playing out? What adjustments do you think he might make?
Listeners on YouTube and people watching on YouTube, people listening on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen, don't jump down my throat. It's just what I think Doc Rivers.
I can feel what's happening here.
I feel like he might start DeAndre Jordan. Like, I know people want to see B-ball Paul or Bassey. Like,
I do kind of, bro. I feel you though. Like, starting DeAndre kind of makes it so that Paul's not in like foul trouble in the first 2 minutes of the game. Like, it kind of helps if DeAndre can give you some minutes there from the start. Kind of elongates the opportunity you have with Paul Reed. Because even in this game where DeAndre Jordan started, Paul still almost fouled out. So I kind of get what he's thinking there, but DeAndre Jordan just is not going to give you any type of activity,
offensively or defensively. So
right.
If they don't start, if I would say Bassey and Paul Reed get as many minutes as possible, you might have to go small with Niang.
Well, we saw Bassey at the end of the game, so I'm hoping that's Doc trying to acclimate him to what it might be like on the floor, so that in game 2 we can see him in some valuable minutes.
Yeah, so Bassey, Paul Reed, let them get as much burn as possible. Go small with Niang, and just emphasize going to the rack and just shooting better. If the shot's not going in, don't just settle for jump shots. Don't settle for, maybe some more motion offense, some pick and rolls. It's just settling for jump shots because that's what a lot of players do now. It's not going to work if it's not falling.
I thought they would have gotten more killed on the boards just by the eye test of watching the game, which would have made me feel more like Bassey was the one. Like, definitely they were getting clobbered on second chance points and things like that. But I feel like Bassey can give you some of those, defensive rebounds and, some of that energy and some of that length and whatnot that you're lacking with DeAndre Jordan. And I mean length as far as like protecting the rim, and DeAndre's big enough to do it, but just can't at this point of his career. And, we all reach a point where we're not quite what we used to be. But I think Doc Rivers not going with the youth or giving them an opportunity is kind of putting the Sixers even more behind the 8 ball, because DeAndre Jordan just does not have it. And even Niang wouldn't be an answer. Like, Bam Adebayo would have him for lunch. Maybe more zone might be the answer. Maybe playing a little more zone, a stronger zone. And I do have to say this before we go too far, but I'm super disappointed in Tyrese Maxey's defense, because he can't guard anybody, bro. He can't finish plays. It's times where the guy he was guarding, he doesn't like box them out all the way, or doesn't stay with them at least on the rebounds, and they're getting, offensive boards and things like that. So, and he's often there in the proper position of where he should be, but he's not like daunting, like slowing guys down or making them think about it. He's just like in front of them, and he's not like extending to the like smother them defense. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he's in position and in the right place, but he's just moving around the floor, and guys are just going, kind of where they want to. But everyone needs to step up this next game. Not to like lock in on Tyrese, but everybody needs to step up. And that's kind of the thing is, I said it earlier, you almost had to play perfect in order to make this, steal a game here in Miami. The crowd wasn't in it. That definitely wasn't a problem because they didn't even show up until halftime.
It's a button. Well, all due respect to that, and they had the same problem when LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh was there. There's probably a lot of things you can do in Miami on a Monday night.
Yeah, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad. I wish I was there sometimes, but from a basketball standpoint, the crowd ain't in it. You're playing poorly. You're up one at halftime, and so you had the game won. 48 minutes, 24 in the first half, 24 in the second. You had the 24 minutes of success, but coming out of the locker room, it just was not the same level of intensity. And the aggressors are rewarded in a lot of instances in sports. And I feel like the Heat definitely came out aggressive and they started that second half aggressive.
It's very true. And something you said about Niang and Bam would have them. I know the Heat average like the fourth lowest amount of shots in the restricted area is only like 18 a game, and maybe not have Niang on Bam, maybe Tobias. I feel like there's something you can do. I'm not
Tobias can't guard everybody. Not off to Tobias because his defense is definitely taking a step up.
It did take a step up, and Maxey's defense wasn't there.
Tobias love flowing out of your mouth right now.
Yo, save this pod. Save this pod, everybody. A squirrel gets a nut twice a day. Clock. Oh no, a clock is right twice a day. A squirrel.
There you go. No. Go with your analysis. Yeah. Do it your way you want to do it.
Hey man, I'm just trying to think of what Doc can do to make sure the Sixers don't come back to Philly down 2-0.
You got to forgive Ben. He's actually fully focused on watching Doctor Strange 2 later this week, so he's just going through the motions until he can see the movie.
I'm focused on the Sixers, trying to make this a series, and I already have my tickets for that. Right. So
exactly.
big ups.
Game 2 Wednesday. We'll all be locked in. It'll be exciting. The announcer sucked. I thought Grant Hill was a hater. I thought, a lot of backhanded compliments for the Sixers.
I'm someone because I see on Twitter or Facebook, people just upset at the announcers, whether it's Ala Kate or whether it's the national crew on ESPN or TNT.
Couldn't get Gus Johnson for this one? I've been waiting to hear. I've been watching all the Sixers broadcasts.
He probably has. I don't know who has the Maverick Suns are playing now. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know who has that game. Yeah.
I think Gus would have wanted to go to Miami if he had a choice. But
I'm not someone that gets too high up or down on announcers and broadcasters. It might be a few where I'd rather them not do the game, but I know a lot. They hate the Sixers or they hate the Eagles or this or that or this person is terrible. I think what they do, their jobs are incredibly hard. I don't think a lot of people realize what they do from game to game and the prep and all.
We both know what they do. We both know.
We do.
Flavor.
I'm talking about the
flavor.
The fans.
The fans. The comments online, they definitely go a little too far sometimes.
You thought Grant sucked. I thought he was all right. So I mean, how bad
some excitement.
You have to be bad for me to think you're bad. You have to be really bad for me to think you're a bad broadcaster.
Oh, were you a Chris Webber fan? Did you like him as a broadcaster?
I liked him better in studio.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't think you could put him back in studio because watching Chuck and Shaq just argue every other night is amazing.
Right. Don't even matter what they're talking about. My favorite is when Shaq is upset because Kenny and Charles dominate the conversation. It can't go 1-2 and then back to 1. You got to go 1-2 and then 3.
Don't come to me. Don't come.
Right.
Shaq is and sometimes it seems so real. Man, you's a bum. You don't know what you're talking about, Chuck. Google me, Chuck. It escalates so quick.
I think it definitely be serious sometimes.
So,
but brothers, man, they make up and forget about it.
Yeah,
but,
Shaq had Chuck's back when KD was sending subliminals. Well, not even subliminals, direct shots on Instagram last week. So
a little unfounded, but shots all the same. And then they had the hilarious bus driver thing with the chuck wagon and all that stuff.
Amazing.
But hey, we will be here after game 2 on Wednesday with some instant reaction. Danny Pommells and Ben Berry. Make sure to check out Noah Levick's work on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. He's been pumping out the articles. He's at these practices and covering the team like not many other people can. So check out Noah Levick's work. And we'll be joining you with the Sixers Talk podcast after game 2. We'll see what adjustments this team makes. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, Ben?
One final thought. Other things are going to be offline off the pod. One, to the people that have asked about these paintings in the background, got Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan. Love those. And a couple other I put up on social media today. Local Philly artist, Chuck Styles. He did like an Andrew McCutcheon card. Check out his work because people always ask. That's all.
That's a good one. Chuck is heavy too. He got a crazy. Nice. Follow him on IG or whatever because he got some crazy artwork.
It's nothing on there I haven't liked. He comes. Everything is he.
No, definitely. I met Chuck too at the Sixers Art Expo that they had at the Fiddler Club or whatever a few years back. I didn't know it was him, but I was liking the things, and he was standing there because he's the artist of the photo. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is my stuff and whatnot." So a cool dude, but I didn't recognize Chuck's stuff back there. That's tough, bro. Yeah, I feel the people who've liked it because I like his work too. But hey, be sure to join us Wednesday. We'll have all you need to know. In the meantime, if you see me or Ben Berry out, come speak, say hello, and we'll chat up some Sixers with you. But thanks for listening to the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. WilmU Works. We'll see you next time.